So, sugar glider wheels. You're probably doing it wrong, so let's talk about it. Sugar gliders are exotic pets with specialized needs. A lot of the wheels sold in pet stores or recommended for hamsters aren't suitable for sugar gliders. A wheel is one of the most important parts of a sugar glider's cage. A safe wheel is a great form of enrichment, but an unsafe wheel can quickly wreak havoc and be a danger to your sugar gliders. One of the most common wheels I see being used for sugar gliders that's actually unsafe are these rodent wheels. These rodent wheels are originally marketed towards hamsters, and a lot of hamster owners love them. They just aren't the best for gliders. Rodent wheels have a center axle, which is a metal bar that goes through the middle of the wheel to help stabilize it. While this is fine for hamsters and other small mammals that just run on their wheels, gliders are called gliders for a reason. Rather than running on their wheels, they tend to hop and they pull a lot of stunts on their wheels, and the center axles just aren't very safe. Gliders also love to run in groups. I have two wheels, but I often see all five of my sugar gliders trying to cram themselves onto one wheel because they really like being together. The Rodent Wheels track isn't really wide enough for two gliders to fit comfortably. Even if they could, it can actually be quite dangerous because of the closed front. A lot of times animals like this for securities, but for sugar gliders, it can be really dangerous because if one sugar glider is running and the other one wants to get out of the wheel, they can very easily hit their head and injure themselves. This next image is quite graphic, but it can very easily be the reality. There's a lot of people who have had rodent wheels for years or even their entire glider's lifetime without any issues, but I still don't think it's a risk worth taking. The center axle can be extremely dangerous. Even if it weren't for that, it doesn't promote the highest form of enrichment due to it having a solid track and a closed front. It's sad because a very popular sugar glider company actually sells these wheels with their sugar glider starter kit, even though they're completely unsafe. These wheels weren't originally made for sugar gliders, so it's nothing with the manufacturer's fault, though they have realized that a lot of sugar glider owners are using it, so they have offered this type of fix that you can add to the center axle, which supposedly makes it safe for sugar gliders, but I still don't see any fix that could make that center axle safe. And even if it were, again, like I said, it's not the highest form of enrichment just due to how it's set up. It's a lot better to buy a wheel that's specially made for sugar gliders rather than trying to mod something that was made for a different species. Another wheel that I do sometimes see used, thankfully not very much, is the KT Comfort wheel. Again, this wheel just isn't very ideal for sugar gliders, and it does have a center axle which makes it unsafe. Another wheel I see commonly used is the KT Silent Spinner. Again, this is a great wheel for hamsters, just not the best for sugar gliders. I think it's actually one of the better unsafe wheels because it doesn't have a center axle and it has an open front. The issue that some people have with it is the track is actually made of two different pieces. As you can see, there's the white piece and then there's the clear plastic piece. And this piece has actually been known to get slightly disconnected and an animal's foot can get caught, and there's been a lot of bloody incidents. This is another very graphic image, but it's what's a reality to a lot of people. A lot of hedgehog owners, especially since hedgehogs are heavier built, have woken up to this where their silent spinner is covered in blood because their hedgehog's foot got stuck and it just continued running with the blood on it. I think this would be terrifying to wake up to, and I feel like it's a very real possibility with sugar gliders considering how hard they use their wheel. Like I said before, they don't really run, they tend to jump on their wheels and they use them pretty hard, so I can very easily see the track coming apart and the glider either getting its foot stuck and causing that to bleed, or it's even trying to mutilate its foot off because it can't get it unstuck. Again, there are people who have used these wheels for years without any issues, but it's a risk that I personally wouldn't take. Also, these wheels aren't specially made for sugar gliders, so there's a lot of things that aren't ideal. The track isn't flat and it has a slight curve to it, so multiple sugar gliders can't really fit. And even if they do able to fit themselves, there's really nothing for them to grip onto, so a lot of times sugar gliders won't use these wheels with the plain solid track. This last wheel is probably the most controversial because a lot of people use it and think that it's safe, and a lot of people think that it's completely unsafe, and that's the Exotic Nutrition Silent Runner wheel. Unlike some of the other wheels I've talked about, one of these wheels is actually marketed towards sugar gliders, and that's the 12-inch orange wheel. I personally use these wheels. I use the green 12-inch wide wheel, which is normally marketed towards hedgehogs. I just like that it was a little bit wider for my sugar gliders, so that's what I chose to use. I never had any issues while using it, but a lot of people do think that it's dangerous. It doesn't have a center axle like the Rodent Wheel, and unlike the Silent Spinner, the track is one piece. But a lot of people don't like that it has a covered front. They think that this has a potential for injury for multiple gliders. In my experience using it, I felt like the holes were wide enough to where I never had any issues where any of the gliders were stuck inside of the wheel. But I didn't ever see multiple gliders using it together very often just because I don't think it was the best setup for that. Even though these wheels are marketed towards sugar gliders, I don't notice anything special that they've done in difference to their other wheels. I feel like they just made a hamster wheel and they scaled it up and said that it was suitable for sugar gliders, which I think is completely wrong because they're completely different species with very different needs. The reason that these wheels are so controversial is not the covered front, but it's actually the way the wheel is attached to the stand. As you can see, there's actually a little gap between the base of the wheel and the stand, and this is what helps it spin smoothly, but a lot of people have claimed that this gap has killed their gliders, with either their gliders getting stuck or a glider's tail getting wrapped around. Having this wheel, I don't personally see how this could happen, but it was a risk that I wasn't willing to take, so I decided to switch it out. Also, like I said before, it's not really specialized for sugar gliders' needs. Sugar gliders are extremely messy, and I found this wheel really frustrating to clean. The way that it was put together, I felt like it always had a bad smell, and I always had to take it completely apart in order to get it clean, and even after I did that, I never felt like it was spotless. There's also room for only one sugar glider to run at a time, and there's only one way for them to use it. I felt like it took up a lot of space and it didn't get much use out of it, so I decided to swap it for one of these wheels. These wheels are all designed specifically for sugar gliders and take into account their unique needs. As you can see, they don't have a solid running track, which is a big no-no for hamsters and other small pets, but this is actually what you want for gliders. Gliders, like I said, don't typically run on their wheel, they like to jump, so they love having something that they can grab onto. Gliders also aren't like other small mammals. They don't ever really rest their feet flat. A lot of the times walking flat on the floor is really unnatural to them, which is why they look so weird doing it. They like to have things that they can grip and grab onto, so these wheels are great for that. It's also great because you can have multiple gliders running at once and no one's getting in the way of others. And you can actually have gliders use all parts of the wheel. There can be gliders on top of the wheel, inside of the wheel, under the wheel, and it's a toy that they can use in a lot of different ways. There are a lot of people who make these wheels, and to be honest, I don't think they're a whole lot different. A lot of the most popular ones are the Raptor wheel, the Stealth wheel, the Apollo wheel, and the Freedom wheel. The only wheel I would be a little bit wary of is the Freedom wheel because the company did go out of business. Not anything wrong with the wheel, and they did sell a lot of other wheels that were really great as well. They just retired. The reason I'd be wary of the Freedom wheel is because there is one model that had a lot of issues with the central barrel breaking, and with the company out of business and you're not able to verify which model of the wheel you're getting, I just think it's better to stand clear of them. You can't get these wheels at any pet stores or online shops. You usually have to custom order them. I'll leave the links below. Most of these wheels are around the $50 range and they do charge for shipping, which is quite expensive, but they'll last your entire glider's lifetime. Actually, they'll probably outlive your gliders. You might be able to get lucky and find one used, but to be honest, most people who have them love them, so they don't sell them, or if they are getting out of gliders, they usually sell them with their gliders or give them away to a friend. So it's not very common you find these for sale, so if you are looking for one of these wheels, honestly, it's just good to drop the $60 or $70 and buy it new. The wheel I'd really recommend is the Custom Cruiser. This wheel is made by Bourbon, the same person who created the BML diet. I really like it because it's completely customizable. She lets you choose the width of the track that you want, so you can make it really wide if you have multiple gliders. It's also really well made and she ships really fast. A lot of these other wheels I've heard are backlogged a couple weeks, but if you reach out to Bourbon personally, she'll make your wheel in a day and ship it out the day of, if not the next day. So it's super fast shipping, it's a super well made product, and one thing special that her wheels offer is a bounce. A lot of these wheels, the axle is in the center, so it spins perfectly, but she found through experience that her sugar gliders actually like the wheels with a little bit of a bounce to them. So the wheel center is a little bit off center, which might sound like it's a bad thing, but the sugar gliders love it. It works them a lot harder, and I truly think it's the reason that none of my sugar gliders are overweight or obese. There are a couple DIY tutorials floating around on how to make your own wheel. You guys are welcome to give it a shot, but I just looked into it briefly and it almost looks like you're going to spend more money getting all the initial supplies than you are going to if you just buy the wheel used. So that's what I prefer to do. I like to know that my sugar glider's favorite toy is completely safe for them and nothing is harmful. Also, if you do buy a wheel, please make sure you research how to properly secure it to your cage. Every wheel is a little bit different on how you do that, and if the wheel is not secured properly, even if you have a glider safe wheel, it might not be safe if you're not taking the proper precautions. Even though sugar gliders do like to have the grip, please don't be buying these wire and mesh wheels that look like this. They aren't safe for sugar gliders because of the sides. If a sugar glider is running and decides that it wants to get out of the wheel, they can very easily injure themselves. These wheels are not even safe for hamsters or mice or pretty much any rodent, so please don't use them for your sugar gliders because again, they're not safe. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to comment down below any videos you'd like to see. And if there is a wheel you'd like to try out for your sugar gliders but you're not sure whether it's safe, leave that in the comments below and I'll try to get back to you. I'm definitely not an expert, but I'd love to share anything that I know. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.